lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the nathanoakley.com Flat Earth Debate forum to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are currently joined by The Plain Truth, Paul, Jose, Flat and Earth, Diane, Chocolate Saiyan, Bible Literalist and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello, what ho?
Okay.
What's up?
Good morning.
Balls.
Hello. Wow, I'll say balls. Wow, bro.
So, any signs of curvature?
Yes.
Go on, Jose. What have you got?
I got a new little piece of footage, so I added up to the pile of footage that I have taken in the last month. And I did a 7-mile observation in 2 different heights, that being 5-foot high observation versus 2-foot high. And in the 5-foot observation, I'm missing about maybe, 12 foot. It's a little barrier under the water. So I'm looking at a building, and the building appears to be sitting on the water, the first floor of the building. And when I go lower, the 2-foot observation, I'm almost missing the whole first floor of the building. So I'm missing a little more, the lower observation. I posted the link of the video on the Skype chat if somebody want to share it, or everybody can go to my channel and take it.
Yeah, the problem that I have right now, just to respond to you, is the fact that you're using almost, maybe, appears. So how about you get us some concrete information in terms of how high the building is, what your exact distance is, because your almosts and maybes and appears are open to a lot of variables, Jose.
I'll answer that question. 7 miles observation, exactly 7-mile observations from me to the building. The building is 8 floors high, 8-story building. Under the building is sitting in a 12-foot little wall, a container for the water not to rush in, in the little island. So the building is sitting in a 12-foot, and it's an 8-story building, and I'm looking at it from 7 miles.
All right,
away.
so 8
and
stories.
It was low tide.
All right, so 8 stories. Does that mean it's 80 feet high?
I'm not worrying about how high it is. I'm worrying about how much am I missing in the bottom.
Well, how are you going to know how much you're missing if you don't know how high it is, bro?
Because I can see it in the footage that I'm missing something in the bottom just by looking at the footage.
And so you're saying that there's a barrier that blocks the bottom 12 feet of the building? So you're saying that you can't see 12 feet of the bottom building because of a physical barrier that was put up by a man? I'm just asking for details.
Yeah. If I'm looking from really close, I can see this 12-foot wall, and then above that 12-foot wall is the ground, and the building is sitting on that ground.
Okay.
Cool.
The coordinates from the observer and the building are in the description box on the video. So if somebody want to pull it up on the Google Maps, whatever, you can see the 3D view on what I'm missing in the footage. and I can see clearly just the 8 windows, you know, the 8 stories of the building, just sitting on the horizon level water right there. And then when I go lower, I'm gonna see the building sitting on the water, but I only see seven windows of that building instead of 8.
Right. Yeah. I guess I could compare what I've shot over the Chesapeake Bay, because that's roughly 6 miles, and I've got a 3-story building
Or
that
roughly,
is,
kind of, sort of, maybe, sort of.
yeah, it's 5.74. Okay, 5.74. So when I've observed this building at different days and at different seasons, I can see the ground that the building is on, and then on different days I can't see the ground.
I
So
decided to go in the low tide just in case, but
yeah,
next
I've done
time I
it.
go in the
Yeah,
high tide.
yeah, I've done it. I've done it from the water level 4 inches above the water, and then I've gone up 5 foot, and then I've gone up 10 foot. But the reason why I can't see the bottom of the building that I'm looking at is because of the atmosphere.
I made a similar observation at Myrtle Beach. It looks very similar to your video, Jose, and atmospheric conditions can account for that. Similar observation myself.
Yeah, this is the first time I went, and it was a low tide, so I'm gonna revisit it because it's the closest spot that is for me right now. It's about maybe 20-25 minutes, so it's gonna be a lot easier for me to go and repeat it many times and compare.
So would you not say this is comparable to, say, putting a book at the end of a hall and then lowering your position to see it vanish from the bottom up? Wouldn't this be an absolutely identical replication of that in the small scale?
Mm-hmm.
You could see it that way. Yeah, making sure that the floor is 100% straight on level. Yeah, it's a representation.
So given that, I'm going to say that, say the sports hall floor, that the ping pong ball or whatever, that I did my observation of the angle of attack, lowering the camera to make something disappear bottom first, is over a surface that's equally as flat as these waves. I'm going to probably say slightly more flat, but, people are quite fussy about it not being perfectly flat. Nevertheless, if you can replicate this in the small scale on a basically flat surface, i.e. not curved, even if it's slightly uneven, wouldn't you agree that that's a reasonable explanation for it that in no way involves Earth curvature?
It's an alternate explanation, yes.
Sorry, say that again.
It is an alternate explanation, yes. Alternative explanation, I don't know the word.
Also a bit better developed.
I have a question for Jose. So you believe that water can curve, right?
No, I don't believe nothing.
So you think, or you're willing to entertain the idea that water can curve, right?
Continue.
So if that's the case, can you give us the exact number in a huge standing body of water? What's the distance where the curvature starts to occur?
I don't understand that question. I just upload videos on YouTube, bro. I'm a Puerto Rican with nothing. I cannot give you any numbers. I'm not a mathematician.
You sound like you have nothing, loser.
His basic question is, Jose, where's the curve?
Oh, it's everywhere, all around you. Look at the observations that I have made and others have made.
But we've just accounted and we've just questioned your observation, and they may not account for it. So back to square one.
Oh, I'll tell you what the curve is. Go to my little tensors value footage and you can see the curve in the bridge.
It's really too bad that you didn't understand Dan's question, because it's a good question and it's something that science should have answered already. But apparently you guys don't have any answers.
I'm a Puerto Rican dude.
Apparently, but you believe in it. Why are you believing stuff that hasn't been answered?
I believe in what I see, what I can test and I can see with my eyes. That's what I believe. And
so why you keep saying you count? Why you keep saying you found curvature?
Because I seen it on my footage, the footage I have taken. That's
why you see obstruction and you call it curvature.
And I see curve in the little tensor value. I seen it, the curve.
Oh, okay. And that's Earth curve to you.
Yeah.
The little tensor spy footage. Curve, right? The little tensor spy footage that you showed, Jose, had what you called curve in a distance that a little boat covered in the space of about 30-40 seconds. And the top line of the curve was a bridge. So if you're to assert that that's the bit of curvature, then surely you'd be able to measure it on the bridge on top that in your own footage looked flat. It's just the bit underneath where the water and the perspective takes place, i.e. the ground rises up towards the horizon. That's where you're asserting the curve takes place, but literally directly above it you've got a causeway with traffic on it that's not curving.
Oh, in the big scale, yes, because when you're looking at a screen, you're looking at the bridge. It's a 7 miles. You see it compressed in a 1 foot little narrow band in your TV. You see 1 foot and you see the curve. But if you're above the bridge, how are you going to measure 7 miles with a 7 miles measuring tape or 7 miles along level, water level? You're not. You're going to have a 6 foot water level and you're not going to measure the curve. You got to see it compressed, looking ahead, looking forward to it.
Sure, but you're not seeing 7 miles. That's a misrepresentation of what you're seeing. That's why I said at the beginning that the section that you're claiming the curve is in, a little boat covered in about 30 seconds. Now, unless you're asserting that in your little tiny frame at maximum zoom, that little tiny boat can cover the distance of 7 miles in 30 seconds, then fine. I disagree and say you're showing the most extreme part of perspective, and it's an illusion, an optical illusion that makes the bottom section where the water is look like it's curving. Where it's disproven is by the 10 car lengths of bridge which is above that so-called curve. That's perfectly flat.
Yeah, but it's not just the bottom part. The top part is also shows the curve. In the,
with the cars on. With the cars on, that bit shows the curve too, because there's about 10 car lengths. You can see a couple of lorries, maybe half a dozen cars. So you're saying that that's where the curve is. If that's the case, and you can see curve over a stretch of road that's 10 car lengths long, then I want you to go and measure it.
No, you don't understand scale, Nathan. From what I'm looking at, it's not 10 cars length. It's miles long.
No, Jose, the frame of your image didn't have 7 miles in it. That would be if you were backed out and you had the full frame of what you could see without any zoom.
The frame when you zoom in, maybe had
hold on, Jose, my bad. I tried not to interrupt you. So when you zoom in, you might be zooming along a 7 mile stretch, but what you have in the frame is definitely not 7 miles. As I've just said about 3 times, you've actually got about 10 car lengths in frame. And a boat can cover what's in frame in about 30 seconds, telling me it's a very short distance that you're claiming has got this curve in it. Also, if there's curve in 10 car lengths worth of road, then you can be damn sure you could measure that.
So that's the way you interpret it. What I see in the shot I got when it's zooming, and I'm not seeing 7 miles, I'm seeing about 4 miles probably, because I'm seeing about a mile before the half section of the bridge, and then past that is another 3 miles, 3.5 miles that you're not accounting for. And
so we're seeing the curve on 3.5 miles. How much should we see over the course of 3.5 miles, Jose?
That's a cumulative drop. That's how the way you call it. In the first 3 miles, you're not going to see the curve. When you accumulate, when it's cumulative, you're going to see it past the 3 miles. Yeah.
No, we're just seeing a stretch with a boat in it, and the boat covers a certain distance, Jose. You keep seeming to claim your mathematical construct of cumulative drop. For a man who doesn't like to go to the maths, you use a lot of mathematical bollocks to explain your nonsense. The reality is,
okay,
Jose, I hadn't finished. No need to get triggered, my son. So, the reality is the frame of your shot hasn't got 7 miles in it, Jose. It's got a very short distance. It's got what seems like curve in it, but typically people who misrepresent these observations have a bit more forethought, unlike yourself, about how to misrepresent them best. You haven't, and you've presented a very short distance with a boat with what looks like curve, and a boat covering where that curve is in a very short period of time, telling me it's only a short distance in your frame. as much as you want to claim it's a huge distance, and that we should see a cumulative drop at the very extremes of your zoom lens. Now, we all know on the panel, the flat earthers on here, that that's just a hijacking of perspective. Things do rise up to the midpoint of your vision. That's perspective. Well, ignored entirely in the mathematics you're claiming give you a cumulative drop. I say no, Jose. You get a linear relationship, and occasionally atmospherics can change that linear arrangement of things going up towards the midpoint into what seems like a curve over the space of 10 car lengths.
Okay, the footage is there. Everybody go see it if it's a 10 cars length or if it's 10 miles stretch.
Can you do me a favor,
I've actually got the video up.
Jose, can you do me a favor?
Hold on, let's have it. You've got it, Paul. I'm presenting you. If you can play it, brilliant.
I've got it up. I mean, the bridge. I was just noticing when I was looking at it. I don't know if you see my cursor, but it looks like it's it's kind of convex through here.
I was just about to exactly that. So Jose, yeah. This has got 7 miles in it, right, Jose?
Yes.
Right, concave Earth then, my friend. Looks like it's concave to me.
No.
What do you mean, no? Let's just run my mouse along it for the audience's benefit. Curve starts here. It's not going up and down. It's going down and up. So this is looking like a concave Earth, Jose. It goes down and then up again. Very weird indeed.
Folding into the horizon.
Of course, below that level, it goes from the bottom to up. Perfectly in line with what you'd expect in perspective. Now, this is the shot I'm talking about right now. We've got a boat. So I'm pretty certain that between here and there, where you're asserting the curve occurs, is about 10 car lengths, as demonstrated by the 10 car lengths on top of the bridge. So if this section from here to here has got a curve in it, I would guarantee you could measure that curve. You could probably stick a spirit level on it and see it was curved. It's just an optical effect. It's just perspective.
From where the boat is standing to that middle bar is about 1 mile, and from the bar to the end of the bridge is another 3 miles. So it's not 10 cars.
Oh wow! So in total, Jose, we've got 4 miles. So what you're saying is, Jose, this curve that we see is about what, 10 inches? Imperceivable, but yeah, it's a massive curve. So what is it? Is this 10 inches of curve or considerably more? Because from where I'm standing, we've got this huge distance from the road to the water up here in the near foreground. I know it sounds like I'm describing perspective, but we're definitely not. We're talking Earth curve. So ignore all of what you know about how small things get smaller and big things stay large in the foreground. Yeah, ignore all of that, and let's just assert that this line we see that looks like it's curving, that's Earth curve over the space of 4 miles. Right, Jose? This sounds idiotic.
Okay, now let's go to this part, the first part of the bridge where you say it's concave, that is appears to go down.
No. Paul, okay, just stick with this. Jose, we've got a 4-mile stretch showing what looks like enormous amounts of curve. Huge curve. I mean, you're not going to tell me that this is 10 inches of curve, right? This is a massive curve, isn't it? Look how curvy it is. Right, Jose? Even though it's only about 4 miles.
Now you're saying it's curved, right? It's curved, yeah, indeed.
No, it's blatantly not curved. All of these cars are moving in line with perspective, getting smaller as they get further away from you. But there's not very many of them. And they look, to me, like they're just following the lines of perspective.
Yeah, now look at the end of the bridge, how the ramp, it appears to ramp up all the way at the end. When you zoom it out a little bit...
Oh, I see. I've got you, Jose. Answer me this, then. Why is it that the tree line comes down? If this is... Paul, can you leave the picture up? So, Jose, if we've got a curve going up and away from us, why does the tree line come down?
We're talking about the end of that shot?
Yeah. The tree line comes down, doesn't it? To the midpoint. Strangely enough, in perfect line with what I would expect perspective to do in every photo ever taken, ever. But let's just forget about perspective for a second and say we're looking at Earth curve, because this bit here looks a bit curvy. I want to know why the top is coming down as opposed to curving up.
There's more people, more expert on the giving that explanation. Refer to Soundly and he'll explain it all. Thank you.
He'll explain why the tree line's coming down, but the bottom section is coming up. So we've got an upward curve in the bottom half of the frame. Jose, why are you talking over me? What's your malfunction? Yeah? Your bloody picture doesn't prove Earth curve, Jose. It ignores perspective to make that assertion. Everything in this picture is just following the lines of perspective. That's all it's doing. It's not even a very long distance. It's only 4 miles. Imperceivable amounts of curve is what we should see. Yet we've got blatantly obvious effects of perspective. And you're saying, oh, pictured curve. No.
Jose, can you do me a favor? And I posted 4 pictures before in the back chat, whatever, from a plane. One of them is from about 10,000 feet. So you would think if you're seeing all this actual curvature down here from the ground, you would think you would see that from 10,000 feet up, right? So could you go to that picture and tell me where you see that? You know where I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about left to right curve, right?
I'm talking about curves. Not left to right, just curve. Please tell me where you see that at 10,000 feet.
I don't know. I'm not high at 10,000 feet. I'm a couple feet off the ground, and I can see the curve in the little tensor value here.
All right. The same way you like to present observations, I'm giving you a picture that I took personally from a plane. So could you look at that picture and tell me where you see curvature?
I got to do a couple of tweaks in here. I'm gonna look it up now.
Okay, but while we've still got this picture on screen, thanks to Paul, what I want to know, Jose, is, again, this was my original question. If the water is rising up because it's ball-shaped, yeah? If this is rising up, why aren't the trees also rising up? The whole thing must be rising up, right? So the trees that are here, because obviously we don't take into account perspective, these would be higher then, wouldn't they? They're raising up on this sagittar as we look towards the bulge. Because obviously when you took this picture, you were leaning back on your ankles, weren't you? Looking down at the horizon. That's what we always do, of course. So therefore, all of it should raise up in line with the ball Earth that you're claiming this is. If this is rising up, so are these trees. But they're not. They're falling towards the horizon. Not rising up on a sphere, but going down towards perspective lines.
What is this trauma leaning back in my ankles? Are you looking at cartoon crayon drawings of little kids with big balls and a big kid standing on the ball? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what your mathematics dictates you must do in order to create a bulge that rises up between you and the target. You see, it's another one of those ball Earth contradictions. Oh, my bad. I didn't realise you were in the middle of explaining it to me, Jose. So, it's another one of those ball Earth contradictions. According to ball Earth rhetoric, we are always on the top of the ball. Doesn't matter where you go on the ball, you are at the top point. However, whenever you look at anything in the distance, actually, the top of the ball is the midpoint that's causing the obstruction. So you're no longer the top, you're leaning back on your ankles, looking down towards the top of the ball, which causes the obstruction. You have a sagittar. So you are, in effect, leaning back on your ankles, no longer the top of the centre of gravity. Leaning back so that you can create a bulge between you and your target. Just double speak so that they can create this effect of perspective and call it curve. Doesn't matter that you're supposed to be on the top. No, for this photo, you're leaning back on your ankles.
Okay, I'm gonna answer. Hey, Nathan, come on, stop negating the scale. Stop using the scale negator like Travis used to say. Stop looking at the explanations that are not to scale and thinking that's the real life. Come on, snap out of it.
What are you talking about? I've got a picture on screen.
Sounds like projection.
Yeah, but what you're explaining me is one of these not to scale explanations on a graphic how it should look. And you're taking it as a gossip.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying, Jose, is when a total bullshit model says I'm leaning back on my heels to take this picture, I should ignore that shit, because it's shit. because we don't live on a model. So the fact that the model says I'm tipping back on my heels doesn't mean I am. Yeah, you know what, Jose? I totally agree with you. Just because a sphere model says I have to tip back on my ankles to take this picture doesn't mean I am. Just because a sphere model says I'm always pointing my camera down doesn't mean I am.
Just because the sphere model shows you and not to scale so people can understand what's going on, can understand what's going on.
What? So they understand that they're tipping back on their heels because the model says so, or they don't understand that? I'm a bit confused now, Jose. Are we tipping back on our heels because your model says we are?
No, those graphics are not to scale, none of them.
But that's what you're saying. You're saying this is a bulge rising up between you and your target. In order for that to be the case, you would need to be tipping back on your ankles, creating a sagittal with the bulge ahead of you between you and your target. That's what you are doing when you say there's a bulge at the end of your camera lens, Jose. I know you don't understand what you're saying when you make the assertions that you do. Fortunately, I'm here, so I can point out that you're tipping back on your heels when you make the assertion that it's rising up, right? So you're not on the top of the ball. The top of the ball is causing an obstruction. So you're leaning back, further back around the ball, looking at the top of it. Okay?
Yeah, I never say bulge or leaning. All I say is...
Yeah, you did. So let's not double speak our way around this shit, Jose. You're going to piss me off real fast. You're saying this is curving. Well, in order for it to be curving, it's rising up from your position to create a bulge. That's what it's doing. That's what you're asserting. The fact you don't understand what you're asserting doesn't concern me. It's useful for me to point out what you're doing when you say this is curving. You're tipping back on your ankles with a bulge rising up in front of you, Jose. That's what you're saying. You don't have to like it. It's just nonsense. Your model gives you the idea you're doing that. It's still nonsense. And by your own definition, the model doesn't mean you're tipping back on your ankles. But that's what you're saying.
Yeah, when you're zooming in a long, straight stretch, miles-long, straight road, you're going to see the curve like here. Just zoom in and behold the curve.
Yeah, so you're leaning back on your ankles and the bulge is raising up between you and your target, like I've just said 3 times. So we are leaning back on our ankles then.
No, that's what you're saying. I just say zoom in a straight, miles-long stretch of road and get the curve.
Yeah, my bad. I've completely hijacked your point, Chocolate.
Did you look at my picture yet, Jose?
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, where's the curvature?
I don't know. Where's the curvature? You answered your own question.
I don't know. You tell me.
Jose, you have to look at if there's curvature to left and to the right. Sphere curves in all directions, man.
Yeah, you're going to see a left to right curve in a couple 100 feet. Okay, thank you.
But there is none.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, Jose, you really fell hook, line, and sinker for the straight ball troll tactics, huh? That's horrible.
All right,
you're not gonna see curvature left or right, but we're on a ball,
in a
right?
Couple hundred feet.
All around?
Yeah, no,
right.
Yeah,
okay,
in a
whatever,
couple 100
bro.
feet, no, you know.
Whatever. You sound ridiculous, my dude. Sorry, you're ridiculous.
Jose, you said that you didn't understand my previous question, so I'll go with another question. I'll take you to the Panama Canal. Do you know where it is?
I haven't been there. I haven't done that observation. I cannot talk about it.
I didn't ask you, have you been there? I asked you, do you know where it is?
Yeah, I take others' observations as gossip. I like my own.
I didn't ask
But
you
go
about...
ahead, yeah, talk to me.
It's just 80 kilometers long. So it's transferring boats from one ocean to another ocean. And it has these big enclosed pools that are filling up with water to rise the boats and then to lower the boats over the stretch of 80 kilometers. So if the Earth is a sphere, why did they build that in the first place? They should have just dig the channel through and that's it.
Yeah, if you're talking about this, yeah, let me see your footage with the blueprints and all the explanation of how it should or should not work, and then I'll consider it.
Have you seen videos of it?
Have you taken the videos? I'll look at them.
So I need to present you with my personal videos to believe that there is such a thing in the world.
No, not necessarily, but your own video, so I can take a look as you have experienced this by yourself. Have you seen it by yourself? And you're gonna present something that you have done, so I can consider it and then think about it.
All right. I'll consider it second question about it as well.
Oh, wasn't that fun?
I like to make a comment to Jose. Jose, it's you're making statements saying, "Well, I'm just a Puerto Rican making pictures and observations." But the one thing Nathan is trying to help you to see is you got to understand what's happening, and I think that's the one thing you kind of obfuscate that point, and you need to really address that and try to understand it. Just to kind of push it aside, as, oh, this is observational curvature, but you're not really understanding what's going on. That actually is weakening your position. So I think you need to do a little bit more digging and a little bit more understanding instead of just obfuscating everything that Nathan's saying.
So what you want me to do is at least push the globe and show all the numbers and how it works 100% in a sphere when all I want to do is unbiased observations, and I can maybe be a little biased on my representation, on my interpretation, but I just want to present the footage and I'll keep it dumbed down as I present the footage and we analyze it together. You know, that's what I want to do. I don't want to push an agenda of a globe or a flat earth. I just take observations and work around it a little bit and keep it dumbed down for everybody to understand.
Yeah, but then you'll turn right around and say that, oh, that's curvature. And then Nathan's sitting here showing you that that's perspective or, you know, refraction or who knows what. But you just obfuscate that.
That's good, because then the flat earth got a good explanation, and the globe, me representing the globe in this case, I don't got a good explanation. I just say it's curved and period. Those who want to dissemble themselves and figure it out, then they got a better flat earth explanation than a globe. Is that good for you? I think it is.
Well, just acknowledge that what Nathan's saying is correct, and I think some of that.
Hey, Lenny, oh, got some trolls coming our way. Fun. Yes, if you do join, try to be constructive.
All right, I'll stay on mute now. I'll keep listening.
That's okay. I mean, I was just saying, just try to, just then don't obfuscate what Nathan is saying and say, okay, that's a good point, and you're right. That could be very true. Do that. You know, I don't know. I always hear you saying you do that. Come back with the same observation and the same explanation can account for everything you bring to us, but you don't admit that there's any other options to that potentially.
So, Jose, you've been out taking your own footage, making observations. Did you saw with your own eyes water curving somewhere?
That's a non sequitur. I don't know what you refer to. That's a bullshit water bending, you know, I don't know, analogy.
What?
Really? You've got Tensus Bio showing what you claim to be curving water, but now you're saying it's a non sequitur. Okay, fine.
But it's good that I'm not stupid.
Yeah, I'm not into the Dale Beyond the Imaginary Curve clan about the water bending bullshit. I just do real observations, and the childish water bending comment, I just leave it out of the content.
Oh my god.
Jose, your curvature means that water bends.
Oh my god.
If you're not smart enough to see that, if you're not smart enough to see that, bro.
Yeah, good.
Wait, Jose, is the pictures of Earth from space that you believe in, is the water curved?
That I believe in? Yeah.
Yeah. The water's curved, right?
Yeah. So everything.
Oh, but you just said the water doesn't curve.
Shout out for the super chat. so many names that I just cannot pronounce. But thank you very much indeed for the super chat. I really appreciate it.
How many times on this show have you said, "I believe that we live on a ball"? Since you became
I did say many times. I did say many times.
Yeah.
In the
So
beginning,
I'm not misquoting you then, am I?
No, you say about something about pictures from space. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you believe you live on a ball. So
yeah, but I haven't spoken
believe,
about pictures from space, and I will not.
Yeah, well, you believe you live on a ball, and we're given pictures of
yeah,
that
that's
ball
weak.
from
That's
space.
weak. Trying to strum at me with pictures of space.
Sorry, guys, we've got a new guest.
I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah.
Bear with me a second, guys.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Bear with me.
I'm not trying to trap you.
I'm
just trying to show you how ridiculous you sound when in one sentence you say, "Oh, I don't believe water does it better. That's crazy." Yeah. But then another picture you say, "Oh, that's curvature at 4 miles." You sound
sorry,
stupid,
bear with me a second, Chocolate. Shout out to CFC Bear for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed for your support. And we've also got a new guest who is called, I don't know, Benj. How you doing, Benj? Hello.
So yeah, Jose's just a drama queen and likes the attention. That's why he's here.
What?
So far, since Jose's been on here, he's attacked. Is it Diane? I don't just mispronounce your name. And he's obfuscated.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. He's obfuscated curvature in his own video and obfuscated that there's no water doesn't curve. Yeah, I don't know about Jose.
Since I've been here, I just try to present a little bit of footage that I catch and try to analyze it together, and that's all I do. At least I do some observations. Many of you all have is words, rhetoric, and research on the internet. Don't even go out to do your own observations. So, boom.
I made my own observation.
Wow, that's funny. I took a picture from a plane at 10,000 feet. Did you say anything about that? No, right?
Woohoo!
We're just going to ignore that, right? You're going to ignore that? So we're supposed to sit here and bow down to your observations where you want to believe you see curvature? That's what we should do?
You believe what you want to believe, bro. Let me be.
Yeah, I don't want to believe shit. I'm looking for proof. I'm looking for facts.
You believe the earth is flat, bro.
I don't live on a fucking ball, bro.
No swearing.
You believe in upside down people?
No
Don't believe in upside down people. You know what? I'm going to stop because you believe what you want to believe, bro. And are you trust?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on mute because I'm not supporting nothing here.
So Jose, if what curving, what is producing the curve in the images?
I don't know what you just say.
If water is not curving, it's not bending, what is producing the curvature in your videos?
I already say I'm not going to address that childish water bending comment of yours.
So curve over large bodies of water, what is it? Bending or it stays on an angle?
Somebody else want to chime in the childish water bending tag?
You really still don't get what...
Wait. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. But wait, Jose, you think water bending is childish? That's what you're saying right now?
Just trolling.
Well, maybe you should just fall back on straight is curved.
That's what he's saying.
Straight is curved, up is down, black is white. I mean, this is the type of people that we're talking to right now. This is fucking out of control.
Okay, I didn't hear that the small question kill you. Sorry,
man. Sorry about that.
Small question killed you, Jose.
All right, that was the curvature. Any sign? What's the next housekeeping question? Any scientific proof of gravity? I say no. I'm not a scientist. I got nothing.
You should be a scientist, Jose. You should be.
Nah, Jose just does the field work. And he does pretty good. It's just that his conclusions are somewhat simple. But hey, people have to do the field work.
Yes, no scientific evidence of gravity. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core in the center of the presupposed spherical Earth? I say no, just crayons and drawings. 8 miles, a little under 8 miles is as far as we have dug. So I say no.
All right.
I like how you're doing self housekeeping right now. It's cute.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Nathan's allowed him to start hosting his show.
You've got a request from Gleam who says check out Action Labs video where they show light being bent. I think that was directed specifically at Jose.
I think cool videos. I think it was Karen B. She did something with a fish tank or something that I think Riley presented to me when I showed the little census value. So thank you. Interesting. I like looking at these videos with alternative explanations.
He's way ahead of you, so he says at 9:50 on the video, and then 10:04 shows clear curvature better than Karen B's. So there we go. What was the title of the video again, Gleam? And I'll read it out.
It's funny, that video showed curvature over about 3 feet, wasn't it? Something like that. Maybe 2 feet.
So if it shows curve in 30 feet, how much curve is going to show in 7 miles? It's going to be gigantic. It's just hit your ass again in 7 miles if it shows curvature in 30 feet. So yeah, that scale doesn't work at all.
It's called, where's it gone? Crazy material that you can make at home that actually bends light. There you go.
Where is the link to this?
There isn't a link. It's just I can't remember what labs it's called now. Something labs. Mad Labs or something.
Uh-huh.
Just Google search it. I'm sure you'll find it.
I want to give a shout out to Gleam because he's killing it. He's always dropping all types of info in the chat. Just be killing these Globers with knowledge. So I want to give a big shout out to Gleam.
Nathan, is it the Action Lab?
Yeah, Action Lab.
Yeah, I found it.
I think it's funny how hiding behind scale is always an issue, or I hear that so much. It's too big of a scale. We can't measure it. You know, I think that's, I don't know, just crazy.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's how they get you. Tell you it's too big, scale's too big. Oh, your senses, don't pay attention to those. Your senses are always lying to you. Why would you ever pay attention to those? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's too big, give us the big numbers. We can handle them.
No. I think the trick is that they say you can see curve, but if you shouldn't, then you can't because it's too big. Yeah. So first they claim, yeah, you can see it, but then if you go with but is that technically possible? And you prove that you actually understand this, then they bypass it by, yeah, but you're too small. It's too big to actually see, even though they claimed that it is visible before.
I actually thought about this morning.
Jedi mind trick.
So it goes like this. If a ball, then curve, then flat. Right?
Yeah, sorry, hi guys, I rejoined, but I was thinking about this very thing this morning. The Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying, he had a beach ball or something. He's like, you can't see the curve 2 millimeters from this ball. And I was thinking, if you got to scale it down. If we're really small, we're not 2 millimeters, because he's talking about 120,000 feet. We're like a little pinprick. And so if the Earth is so big, the amount of curvature it should be able to be seen with certain distances because of how small we are. Because proportional to our size, the Earth is massive, so the curvature is also going to be massive to account for that huge sphere. And also, there are landmarks, there's mountains, there's objects that will have various heights and distances that can allow us to compare the supposed curvature that should based on the mathematics. Because what he did was use a ball that's smooth, but our Earth is nothing like that. So you're going to have landmarks and things like that. That's just something I thought of.
And I still think, I know they obfuscate this point, but if you see curvature going on the y-axis, you should see it on the x-axis. And I'm thinking, because if it's a sphere, it's not a cylinder, you know. And I know they obfuscate that point, but it's you know, even at a higher altitude, you can see more. So there should be more evidence of left to right curvature, but there's not. So I don't know. They obfuscate that point.
Yeah, it's another Glober talking point. That's how I see it. Just the same thing with the horizon, you know, lowers down. They're just talking points that they have to throw out to try to throw a wrench in the monkey works, you know. It's ridiculous.
So it's just with any size of a sphere, the geometrical law of the human vision is that no matter how big it is, if you start raising your elevation, it will always drop and display more curvature. Size doesn't matter.
Yeah, they modeled that, haven't they? Somebody showed a model.
They moved the bar. Comparison. They moved the bar. Like, no, oh, you don't see curvature at this height? Well, you actually have to go higher to see it. So they constantly move it.
But yeah, what you said was correct. If it's a ball, it's a ball. If you raise an altitude, you should see it becoming ever more bally as you go higher.
Right.
Although what they do is then they bring in refraction and say, well, we don't really know what it's a standard refraction, but the refraction might change. So if it does look flat, that's just refraction. Like no matter what, it has to be like the CGI. It has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah, they had to Photoshop it. Otherwise, it would be too confusing for you to understand that it's a ball.
I'm dropping a picture in the chat on Skype. They don't get that. They see all the visual phenomena because the point is that they are looking over a flat surface. If you're looking on a bow, you won't be able to see it after a certain distance. You need to raise your elevation to see optical phenomena on a bow. Then you can see some amount of it, but in the far reaches of the apparent horizon. But then on a flat surface, just you can see them forever till you get to an endpoint of perspective, the vanishing point.
It's funny when you take that observation over the water with your moonlight or sunlight, you can actually see proof within the picture for both, because the waves, you know, they're curved, so it creates a shadow. But then you see, because the overall landscape is flat, you get a straight shot to the horizon. So in the same shot, you get both evidences in the same photo. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but when you observe it over, let's say, a big lake that's really in a really calm day, and it's like a mirror, like when it's like really smooth on top.
I mean, you notice how, like, I post this picture and there's no, he doesn't want to address it. There's no curvature seen in his picture. But yet he tells us to refer to Soundly, who shows us ridiculous curvature at 17 miles or some shit.
And Chocolate, he asked you about left and right, you remember?
Yeah. So I could see buildings falling over the curvature in front of me, but nothing bending in side to side. Yeah, okay. That's not how a ball works, guys.
Yeah, I have a question about compression. I've seen footage where from a very far distance, like buildings will squash together. If I understand this the way I understand it, that seems to point to evidence that has to be on a flat surface, because the only way something could compress like that is because the angle is getting squashed on a flat surface. Like if there's a horizon, it would just, like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like it could compress that way on a ball, but maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I doubt that the actual ballers, the ones that are making the model and everything, even know how real optics and perspective would actually work on an actual physical ball. I don't think they even got to that point. Or when they did, they just discarded it outright because it was so blatantly obvious that the world is not like that. So they chose to just omit perspective entirely and keep it orthographic.
Out to Paul Hall for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed, Paul.
And that reminds me, I don't know if you guys saw a recent video by Jaren, quotes that prove they lied to us. It's like a 3-hour long video.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think I'm done with it. But the thing that I'm kind of takeaway I got from it is that there's, there's a lot of these smart scientists, from the last several hundred years. They realize that this is very nuanced, and there's a lot of different ways you can interpret it. There's a lot of different ways to model things and still, theoretically be correct. But it's almost like modern science has kind of hijacked it and created a narrative to only one possibility, and they will refuse to accept any other possibility.
Well, when you built your house of cards, and one thing can come in and shatter that house of cards. I remember talking to a philosophy professor that I knew from the church I go to, and he was saying, well, there's always anomalies in science. But I told him, I was like, well, those anomalies could be the things that's the linchpin to your understanding, So focus on the anomalies, because those anomalies could undermine everything that you think about. And I think they don't want to do that. And I think, you build your whole worldview, you build your whole career on looking at some things a certain way, but this one thing can come in and completely undermine the whole house of cards you build. It's pretty, I think it's hard for people to do, and we've talked about this in here before. I mean, like for me to embrace the flat earth, I had to relook at all my sci-fi I loved all my life, so I had to give all that up. And sometimes, that's minor in the grand scheme of things, but imagine that when it's your career or your life or your livelihood or, your speaking engagements. I mean, I've lost friends and family over my views, I mean, what price are you willing to pay? And a lot of people aren't willing to pay the price for truth, or pay the price for seeking into something that may counteract everything you think.
Guys, do you think that they let flat earth into the public for a reason? Like they foreseen that in time they will not be able to hide it, so they decided to let it go out gently until it becomes common knowledge?
It's difficult to tell. I think that the controllers were very divided over it.
Fortunately, that is going to be a question for the after show, because I'm going to bid farewell to the live audience on that note. So if you want to find out the answer from the rest of the panel, you need to tune in, or stay tuned if you are watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980. So there will be an after show. But in the meantime, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this live debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in, super chatting, and hopefully sharing this debate. As I say, if you want to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth debate forum there. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!